Hey everyone, how's it going? Delrith here, bringing you another rapid-fire review, this time for the game Desperados 3. Desperados 3 is a real-time tactics strategy game developed by Me Games, I think that's how you say it, and published by THQ Nordic and THQ Proper. Before I start, however, I ask that you take the time to head over to my Twitter at AJSADelrith and give me a follow. It's always great to interact with the community when I'm live doing these reviews, and that's the best place for you to keep track of what I'm doing at the time. So what is Desperados 3? Well, the easiest way to explain it is that it is a top-down strategy game series similar to titles such as Divinity Original Sin or Commandos, set in the Wild West, involving you taking control of a cast of unique characters in broad scenario missions. Each character has a dynamic story behind them and specific talents, and it's up to you to utilize those characters to their full potential to complete objectives set forth in each mission. It's kind of like chess, but with guns, explosions, drugging, and flirting, with every move you make needing to be carefully planned out and executed to make sure that you don't lose a cast member along the way. If I had to use a single word to describe what Desperados 3 was like, I'd think that the word that comes to mind would be uncompromising, as it's extremely difficult and punishes you for rushing forward and not thinking out every single step that you make, and that's what made it enjoyable. Really, right on the edge of it. God damn it! His view was so big! It's also worth mentioning that the last Desperados franchise title came out around 2007, I think it was called Helldorado, so it's been a long time coming, and I wanted to hop in and see what it had to offer, especially since I enjoyed the previous titles when I was younger. The story of Desperados 3 is a prequel to Desperados Wanted Dead or Alive, which was the first game in the series. It pretty much brings you back to the roots of the series' protagonist, John Cooper, and follows him around as he embarks upon a quest for revenge, but I won't spoil anything past that, and it's all pretty good. Visually, I gotta say that I love it. It's a very pretty looking tactical top-down game with an immense amount of detail packed into every corner of every level, and the levels themselves are so massive that I was blown away, with each level seemingly outdoing the last. I'm not kidding either. The map design is top-notch and absolutely nuts, with the sheer amount of clutter and tender love and care tossed in being really obvious. Every map is entirely unique, including most of the assets for said map, and I never felt like I was replaying the same things over and over again or seeing the same assets used. Couple that with a ton of added character dialogue from NPCs, dozens of different routes to take in missions, and full voice acting from the entire cast, and you've got a fantastic experience in the eye candy department, almost like an interactive movie, and I really enjoyed that.
Let's get this done. I got a train to catch.
Of course. Just give me a moment.
As well, the main characters are all superb in how they act and look, and really feel like organic people, never out of place or awkward, and always sticking to their personalities that are established early on, and they're oh so good at it. The tactical interface that they provide you with for switching between characters dynamically while in a mission is also very well designed, with the UI supporting the gameplay flawlessly and resulting in me having no complaints about it in the slightest. It was all intuitive and easy to understand, and certain mechanics involving order stacking looked incredibly pleasing, just adding to the overall enjoyment and the spectacle that the game had to offer. As far as technical issues go, I didn't encounter any, and I thought that I'd quickly mention that, especially given the previous titles, as I recall, had a lot of crashes, bugs, and just mission glitches in general. Desperados 3 just performed great without any major pause, so yeah, you don't have to worry about anything about that. Visuals aside though, what makes Desperados 3 really good is the core gameplay of it, and that's where it shines. Like I said, it's a top-down tactics strategy game. Each level will have a specific number of characters for you to control, which is decided based on the context of the level and the story they're trying to tell at the time. For the most part, you'll almost always have access to Cooper, the game's protagonist, with the other cast of characters supporting him being utilized to fulfill certain roles when the mission requires it. Each character has a very specific set of skills. Cooper, for example, could take out people with knives, knock people out and then tie them up, and is an ass kicker in a firefight. While if you look at Kate, for example, she's pretty much only good for distraction and infiltration, but excessively talented at it, which enables your other characters to perform better. My personal favorite would be Hector, a big beast of a man that pretty much fills the role of the deranged axe murderer, running around and slaying people with a giant bear trap known as Bianca.
My specialty.
Still got it.
2 down. Straight through hell.
All right. You know, I forgot about the whole bear trap thing.
This is nothing.
Missions, for the most part, take place in real time, with the ability to pause being a secondary thought, only there for you to stack up orders and execute multiple things simultaneously, called showdown mode. This could be things like having 3 characters stun 3 enemies at once, or 1 to distract and the other to kill. It'll be used a lot, and a lot of missions definitely require it. Abilities and everything else are activated as you would expect in a game like this, with some of them having prerequisites or cooldowns requiring you to decide when and where to use them most effectively. An example of this would be Cooper's throwing knife that I mentioned, which can instantly kill an enemy at a distance, but requires you to then take Cooper over to it to recover the knife, which can be tricky if you're not careful. I will say, the missions themselves are merciless. They're so difficult the first time through that the game will constantly remind you to quick save, with a notification popping up every minute reminding you of just how long it's been since the previous one. I thought it was funny too, that I'd never need to remember to save so often, but boy, I was wrong, as the AI is not only incredibly attentive but cunning, constantly adapting to mistakes you make and things they discover throughout the play of a level.
What the? Don't.
No! 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 Bullets! My one weakness! But right in the taco!
Sweet dreams.
Don't move. Something. Found you.
Yeah, no, of course. Right as I kicked her in the taco. Kill a guard and leave a body out? Well, whoops. You've suddenly got a dozen armed patrols coming out and complicating your life immensely. Accidentally walk past a guard dog while disguised? You're dead. Time to reload again. The number of ways it punishes you and forces you to adapt are almost endless, and I like it, as the pain is balanced out with the sheer creativeness and the ways you can complete missions. There are a lot of approaches for each and every mission in this game. There are multiple paths you can take, tons of interactable objects and stuff that do different things, and multiple styles of play that are available to make anyone happy. You need to execute a specific NPC? Maybe knock a sign off a building down onto him. Maybe poison his drink. Maybe convince someone that he's a traitor. It's wild the amount of things that come into play. You'll find yourself reloading and quick saving like crazy and trying all the different ways, as there are also achievements that tie into every level and challenges for you to complete, encouraging multiple playthroughs.
What you pay for? Number 5.
Well, shit.
Really, it doesn't ever get dull, and I appreciated that. There were times where I bashed my head at a wall for an hour just trying to do something a specific way, only to realize I could have just hopped on, say, a Gatling gun, mowing everyone down, and it was those eureka moments that truly made Desperados stand out in that regard. You think you bitches can fight me? Come on, bring it on, boys! Oh, and one of the neatest parts is that at the end of every mission, it will retrace your steps entirely, showing you exactly where you quick saved, loaded, used abilities, switched characters, killed guards or knocked them out, used traps. It's all there. I just thought it was cool and something that they didn't need to toss in, but they put there just because. Now, the game is incredibly long, and I mean too long, with some of the later missions being far too long for what they were, and at times devolving into simply feeling tedious. That isn't to say that I don't appreciate long levels, but at times in Desperados 3, it feels like a drag, and for all the wrong reasons. These things can include enemy patrols being too slow, levels being just too huge to traverse, you name it, it just felt too long. And I'm not the only one that felt that way based on some of the reviews I read. And even though I enjoyed the gameplay immensely and enjoyed the visuals, I did find myself struggling to actually push through to the end. It was a game where a single level could take an hour or more if you weren't familiar with it, and with 16 levels, it's not a quick burn. I just struggled to get through it. It was just too much, and they could have toned it back. So if you are picking up the game, expect it to be, something that you have to do through multiple playthroughs and to complete it. Eventually, I did beat it, but even I had to do it off stream, and I normally stream everything, just because some things were so slow and uninteractive, I couldn't justify doing it for an audience, and that was a problem. Another downside is that there's no multiplayer to speak of that I found, just single player, and really no bonus features outside of the campaign for the game to stand on. What you see is what you get, and I wish there was more. as I think something like co-op would have been incredibly fantastic, enjoyable given the game's playstyle. So it's a shame that there isn't anything close along that vein. Maybe something like a player workshop too, or player maps for you to go through, anything of that sort. It's just not there. In the end though, I enjoyed what it had to offer, and honestly, I'm okay with what I got. It's solid mechanically and gameplay wise, and definitely deserves praise for the stuff it did do well. All things considered, I'm going to end up giving Desperados 3 a solid 8 out of 10. It's a great game and worth a playthrough if you're a fan of the franchise. Just don't expect to get through it in one sitting, and hey, it's a Western cowboy themed game, and we don't get many of those, so check it out. Anyway, that's going to be it for this rapid fire review. If you liked it, do me a solid and hit that like button and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, please ring the bell so that you get notifications on new videos posted to the channel in the future. Until the next video, this is Delrith, and I'll be seeing ya. Bye.